नमस्कार।
अब हमारी सब मीटिंग में अटेंडेंस इतनी कम है।
हेलो। हाँ, नमस्कार। आज
नमस्कार सर।
नमस्कार सभी को। संडे आज 18 सितंबर 2022
टमाटर मंगवाए।
डॉक्टर के HCFI हार्ट केयर फाउंडेशन ऑफ इंडिया के इस एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप राउंड टेबल ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट, जो हमारा डॉक्टर के HCFI का थिंक टैंक है एनवायरनमेंट पे, तो सब में हमारे सभी एक्सपर्ट मेंबर्स का स्वागत है। और जो लोग डॉक्टर डॉक्टर के अग्रवाल के यूट्यूब फेसबुक पेज से जुड़े हैं, उन सबका स्वागत है। और मैं पिछले 2 साल से करीब लास्ट नवंबर में डॉक्टर के सर ने ये राउंड टेबल एनवायरनमेंट स्टार्ट की थी पैंडेमिक के टाइम पे, और तब से करीब ऑलमोस्ट एवरी संडे, और हम इसको कोशिश करते हैं कि ये हमारी राउंड टेबल कंटिन्यू है उनकी ब्लेसिंग से। सो आज जो हमारा टॉपिक हमने लिया है, डॉक्टर संचिता, आप शायद म्यूट कर लें प्लीज अपना, शायद आपकी आवाज आ रही है। डॉक्टर संचिता, आई थिंक समबडी कैन म्यूट प्लीज, आवाज आ रही है, म्यूट कर लें डॉक्टर संचिता प्लीज, थैंक यू। सो आज जो टॉपिक है हमारा, दी सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स 2022 रिपोर्ट जो है, ये अभी यूनाइटेड नेशंस ने अभी जुलाई में रिलीज की। उसके बाद भी लेटेस्ट जो है बिल एंड मेलिंडा गेट फाउंडेशन है, उन्होंने रिपोर्ट की अभी लास्ट 12 सितंबर को। और इसके जो 17 गोल्स पे है, क्या इम्पैक्ट हुआ है, और डेफिनेटली पैंडेमिक ने इम्पैक्ट किया है, तो उसके लिए विल डिस्कस दैट। सो आई विल रिक्वेस्ट कामाक्षी की, हमारा जो शॉर्ट PPT हमने प्रिपेयर किया है एक बैकग्राउंड का, उसको हम शेयर करेंगे, देन विल डिस्कस विद द अवर एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप से। जैसा कि टॉपिक हम सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स रिपोर्ट 2022, नेक्स्ट प्लीज। नेक्स्ट स्लाइड, या प्लीज। जस्ट टू बैकग्राउंड, आई थिंक ऑल अवर एवरीबडी इज अवेयर अबाउट दैट कि जो हमारे 17 सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स, इनका टारगेट 2030 तक इन पे इम्प्लीमेंटेशंस पे है, जो टारगेट सेट किए गए हैं। इसमें कवर्स विद दी नो पॉवर्टी, जीरो हंगर, गुड हेल्थ एंड वेल बीइंग, क्वालिटी एजुकेशन, जेंडर इक्वलिटी, क्लीन वाटर एंड सैनिटेशन, अफोर्डेबल एंड क्लीन एनर्जी, डिसेंट वर्क एंड इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। Industry and before previous one please. Industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduce inequality, sustainable cities and community, responsible consumption, production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace and justice, strong institutions, partnership to achieve the goals. ये 17 goals का there is a agenda, और इसमें हर एक में targets हैं for every country, every state, और जो भी है इनको जितनी एजेंसीज हैं सबको टारगेट्स हैं दिए गए हैं। एंड हम इंडिया में भी स्टेट लेवल पे, सेंट्रल लेवल पे इसके एक टारगेट सेट्स हैं, और इसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन हो रहा है, मॉनिटरिंग भी होती है। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। सो जो अभी रिपोर्ट है यूनाइटेड नेशंस, ये जो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स रिपोर्ट is the only the UN official report, actually that is the can say it was released just in month of July 2022, and that monitors global progress on the 2030 agenda for the sustainable development. Using this is the report uses the latest available data and estimates, and जो SDG reports 2022 gives the global community reality check on the devastating impact of the multiple crises affecting people lives and livelihoods, जो दोनों का क्या impact हुआ है। This annual SDG report is prepared by UN in collaboration with the entire UN structural system, consisting of more than 50 international regional agency based on data from over 200 countries and territories. तो इनसे सबसे data compile करके this report was prepared and it was released. That next one. On this, the Sustainable Development Goal the Secretary General United Nations, the Antonio Guterres said that we must rise hunger higher to rescue the Sustainable Development Goals and stay true to our promise of a world of peace, dignity, and prosperity on a healthy planet. Next one. जो report है ये the Sustainable Development Goals Report 2022 provides a global overview of progress on the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development using the latest available data and estimate. It tracks the global and regional progress towards the 17 goals with in-depth analysis of selected indicators of each goal. Next one. According to the report, cascading and interlinked crises are putting the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development to grave danger along the humanity very own survival. The report highlights the severity and magnitude of the challenges before us. The confluence of crises dominated by COVID-19, that is a very important, climate change and conflicts like the Ukraine war and all the things like are creating spin-off impact on food and nutrition, health, education, and the environment and peace and security, and affecting all the SDGs. This is very important, the conclusion the report gives. And recently, अभी जो मैं जैसा मैंने बताया कि 12 सितंबर को the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundations released the 2020 Goalkeepers Report, which takes a look at progress of SDGs. And according to this, the report showed that pandemic. This report also had showed that the pandemic had an impact on progress towards the SDG, with almost all being off track. The report also touched upon the food crisis and the climate crisis, two issues that poses a significant challenge to all our policymakers. This is the report. It was released almost because they have also touched every goal and particularly focused on the poverty and hunger, gender equality, sanitation. These are 4 or 5 areas. This was more focus. So yes, इस report के background के साथ, next one please. I think this was just the one slide. Yeah. The report details the reversal of years of progress in eradicating poverty and hunger, improving health and education, providing basic service, and much more. It also points out areas that need urgent action in order to rescue the SDG and deliver meaningful progress for people and planet by 2030. So this was just background. The report is very, very bulky report and need attention. I think we can continue this with the next Sunday. I'll send the report. I have the report. So report may please close the PPT and then we can further discuss it. Yeah. Thank you. Just background. The report is with me. I'll send to all the members, so we can further each and every goal and what with respect to particularly our country, what the impact on this pandemic on these SDGs we can discuss. So now the floor is open for discussion. So I'll request first with the Dr. M. Dwarkanath sir, and because he's worked both in Delhi government and Puducherry government, and SDG इनका बहुत प्रिय subject है, because I understand, and he given so many lectures on the SDGs. So over to you, sir, Dr. M. Dwarkanath sir. So your comment and on the report. If not gone to report, then definitely we can further discuss on the next Sunday also. So over to brief your comment on today's meeting.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Dr. Anil, and to all other members also. Frankly speaking, India should not agree to any such kind of rankings. That is my first opening remarks, which consistently India was doing it, not from right now, even in 1992 Rio de Janeiro conference also. If you remember, the then Honorable Minister, Mr. Kamal Nath, and the founder, director, and member of Center for Science and Environment, Dr. Anil Agarwal, they only spearheaded the Indian campaign. and that 1992 Rio de Janeiro conference, wherein India had very strongly put forth its views, that only paved way for a number of other further commitments like equated but differentiated responsibilities, and also the introduction of low carbon lifestyle or the simple lifestyle changes that the Asian countries are adopting, not because of any sustainability in mind, because our way of life itself is like that. So there should be these rankings and assessments are needed. There is no doubt about it. But one as an individual, as a professional, and as an Indian citizen, and as an Indian government, we need not give much emphasis or importance to this kind of ranking. India is 130th or 182 out of 182 countries, all these things. For example, simple example, I have a member of 3 family members. Whether my purchase and my budget of expenditure, will it be same like that of any other family person who is having 10 family members? It cannot be. The same way, any country has to be judged by its population or per capita. Neither of these reports talk about the per capita or the parameters that they take for comparison, and also to indicators that they take, does not actually have a rationale that is common to the per capita concept. When that itself is not there, it is as simple as illogical that any budget of purchase and expenditure cannot be equated with a family member of 3 to that of a family member of 10. In the same way, what is Finland is appearing as number 1, Denmark is appearing as number 2. These are all hypothetical. They are not even equivalent to one district of India. One big populated district of India constitute one country. That being the basic fact, I think we should work and strive hard to achieve our own sustainability effort without giving much importance to the ranking per se. What are the findings and the shortcomings as a concept? If it is mentioned specifically towards India, yes, we can talk more about it and we can pursue that vigorously so that we move on in our own stride. For example, with the opening remarks, I have marked 4 or 5 important issues that India has taken forward. One is International Solar Alliance. This is one major step wherein, India made even US to join this. Though the final documentary modalities are there, till now US has not joined this, wherein more than 140 or 50 countries have joined together, so that the quantum of procurement is centralized and manufacturing is centralized, and the logistic supply of all panels and manufacturing, everything is centralized, so that the cost of solar power has gone down. India's initiative towards this cannot be discounted, and there is no credit given to any country for spearheading such campaign. Second, availability of COVID vaccine to the entire world at an affordable cost. Not like the Oxford or Pfizer, this thing, wherein they took enough time to launch the vaccine, and also they are at an exorbitant cost. Whereas Indian government has spearheaded not only domestic manufacturing, but also supplying to the citizens free of cost, and also at a subsidized cost, though it is manufactured by private companies in India. At a subsidized cost, India procured from them, and then globally they supplied the vaccine. What credit we are getting for it? Nothing. These are two domestic international spearheading concepts that we have done. At an individual level, in the last 3 years, I introspected what I used to be earlier and what I used to do now. For example, direct benefit scheme that has reduced huge amount of energy and paper printing for all citizens across India, and also the UPI and digital transactions. At least when we were in Delhi, when we were employed, monthly at least 2 or 3 times we used to go to the bank or send somebody with the check leaf to go to the bank and draw cash. And once in a month or once in 3 months, we used to update our passbook. Now, for years together, I have not gone to my bank because everything is coming on my mobile. Whether 100 rupees I spend or 300 rupees I spend or 1000 rupees is credited, everything is coming to digitally to me. I can see and access the passbook directly digitally. And also the train reservation and air flight reservation. Lambi line lagti thi. Aajkal mobile application say you can have it and there is no need of printing those tickets. Everything has become digital over a period of time. And also, like DigiLocker, wherever photocopies were required. Now in many of the government applications, you can just refer to the DigiLock number and give them the password. Only those people who has the access, they will see for verification of any kind of document. And also, banking, I have already told. And these are some of the things which I introspected myself and I asked 3 years or 5 years before what we were doing, and telephone bill and electricity bill, hard copy bill used to come and we used to send somebody or then digitally pay it. All these kind of initiatives have not only given the liberty of doing it at our desktop, but also has reduced huge amount of paper printing, etc., etc. But nobody has quantified. If any agency is assigned to quantify the amount of paper reduced or the printer that used to go for these kind of consumer based transactions, huge, we have saved carbon emissions as well as paper, and these things as indicators has never come to the limelight of any of the credit agency per se. So these are some of my opening remarks, and then we can take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwarka sir. You very well covered the very important, because we are doing so many things, but since it's not very, accounted for the as an indicator or whatever the progress we're doing is not comes in the any international report, because so many things, these things, the impact of these reports are not actually counted. We recently, our Honorable Prime Minister, while declaring the NDC for India, जो 3 अगस्त को जो इंडियन कैबिनेट ने किया था, मैंने इस पे डिस्कशन भी किया था, तो उसमें the focus was on life, the lifestyle for environment. This was very focused, the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister to particular Indian जो हमारा traditional values हैं और जो हम normally Indian culture में जो sustainable way of living है based on traditional जो values and conservation है, ये इस पे बहुत focus. I think we are in India, so many peoples, those who are at least जिनका भी कई roots हैं villages में और rural area में, वो जरूर जुड़े हुए हैं कि हमें किस तरह सस्टेनेबल वे ऑफ लिविंग है, क्या हमारा कंजर्वेशन वैल्यूज हैं, वो अभी हमारी प्लस हमारे जो रिलीजन्स में भी इस तरह का. तो आई थिंक दीज आर वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट जो हम लोग कर रहे हैं, बट दे आर नॉट अकाउंटेड फॉर एनी काइंड इंटरनेशनल रिपोर्ट. हम लोग इंडिया में मतलब जो है ये चीजों का बहुत फोकस है. सो नाउ आई विल रिक्वेस्ट प्रोफेसर मीनाक्षी दोते, इफ यू कैन स्पीक मैडम, सम देन संजीव कुमार जी देन.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
See, one thing about these sustainable development goals are, if we trace back right from the time of Agenda 21, there was this call of action. But the way these SDG goals have been drafted with the targets and the way India is taking it forward through the Niti Aayog by having the vision documents and also I think MOSPI, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, has put the PMA, the number of houses, for the poor and other things as our main indicators. So our country has, as applicable to our situation, has developed certain areas, has developed certain indicators where there is a confidence in getting time series data. And if we compare that aspect, and as Sir had said before also, that we have made strides. And this is somehow in the international thing, it is not being, recognized. But the thing is that we are competing with ourselves, I feel, because our country has to move towards a sustainable way of living. And therefore, for us, how far we have gone from what we started, from when, because initially putting the entire country into that, every state had to prepare its vision documents and give the immediate goals, immediate targets they will meet, the midterm targets and the long-term targets. Now 2030 is just 8 years down the line. I think if we really try, and I'm quite sure Niti Aayog must be also having the data set. So they have put the entire country, who are the forerunners, who are the things. So therefore, it is very important that we keep our tempo on. And the areas in which we are performing the best, we carry forward. The areas which are on the weaker side, we have to, because we have made strides. You go to the railway stations today, you go to the bus stations today. I'm talking about Delhi. It is a totally different thing, the way there is an improvement, not only the infrastructure, the waste management, which is a very big thing. The very fact that we are on the track towards improving not only the as per targets, but quality of life. And this also brings me to what you were talking about, lifestyle. Because one of the SDG goals, which are sustainable, which are for consumers, sustainable consumptions, has got a very important aspect relating to each and everyone. So if we take forward this sustainable lifestyle, this will bring people's participation. Till now, all these tasks are supposed to be only something that the government should do. But this aspect of life puts people and each individual responsible. So sensitizing and everybody, in fact, I think there are a lot of organizations developing indicators to monitor how far we are. But this lifestyle for environment is based on our ethos. It is based on our culture. Because we have always respected elements of environment, and this is something which across all ages people will understand. So if we monitor where we were 3 years back and where we have reached, I think we are making a headway. And irrespective of the way the West looks up to us, we are going to be one of the most populous countries. So if we go on this rate, I think we ultimately our goal will be reached. I don't know the timeline, but we are on the path, and we should take this in a much more accelerated phase. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Madam is a senior professor in School of Planning and Architect and doing so many things for the studies, for the environment. We work together in so many areas in Delhi government. और अभी भी मैडम के साथ so many जब भी कभी होता है डिस्कशन होता रहता है. So she is doing. So thank you, Madam. And बहुत अच्छा आपने बताया. और before going further, I welcome श्री पीके जैन जी, जो इंजीनियर चीफ रिटायर्ड हैं दिल्ली जल बोर्ड से, आज ज्वाइन किया हुआ है. तो वेलकम सर जैन साहब. If you can open your
video. जैन साहब वीडियो ऑन कर लीजिए एक बार.
आपका एंड मैं बिफोर गोइंग टू संजीव कुमार रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा पीके जैन जी से, अगर आप यू कैन से फ्यू वर्ड्स बट टुडे, और बाद में फिर उनको हम नेक्स्ट संडे वी कैन डिस्कस विद दी, पर्टिकुलरली जो वाटर इज वन ऑफ द इम्पोर्टेंट एरिया ऑफ एसटीजी, और इंजीनियरिंग चीफ रहे हैं जो डेली जल बोर्ड में। तो इफ यू जैन साहब यू कैन अनम्यूट, और जो है इफ यू कैन से फ्यू वर्ड्स, अगर वीडियो नहीं भी आई थिंक
जब तक संजीव कुमार जी को ले लिया अगली बार ले लेंगे।
ठीक है। So now request is Sanjeev Kumar ji. He is a very senior officer in RE Sustainability, जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है RE Sustainability Limited, रामकी ग्रुप का। So मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा संजीव कुमार जी से कि लास्ट टाइम भी इन्होंने बहुत अच्छा डिटेल प्रेजेंटेशन दिया था। So मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि आज के सब्जेक्ट में योर व्यूज, particularly because you are also very,
अभी हम लोग आपको रिक्वेस्ट कर रहे थे say few words and on the video। हाँ जी, हाँ जी, हाँ जी, खंडेलवाल बोल रहा हूँ।
संजीव कुमार जी।
सर नमस्कार, नमस्कार सभी को। I think the topic chosen is really very good and it has got relevance, and I respect Dr. Dwarkanath sir, because I've been he was very clearly giving the history as well as one statement which is, and he gives many examples to see why there is a lot of improvement, and very practical examples, and very examples which needs to be quantified definitely in terms of how improvements have measured. And also Dr. Meenakshi Dhote ma'am, because she not only gave the examples of very day-to-day movement around New Delhi railway stations and all, and there is a drastic improvement for those who have been there in late 90s and today. So there is a big change in Delhi itself. If we see that all this needs to be quantified. However, I would request all to just look into this. Is it important? Is sustainability goal measurement or indexing or ranking important? In my personal view, it is very important. Why? And do India be participatory to it? My personal view, it has to be participatory. Reason being, this is a way where we are, today is the world where everything goes with branding and labeling. And this is one method where we are getting branded for, getting it to signatory of International Solar Alliance, and getting all the members on forum and bringing in more projects under the solar energy, getting energy surplus through renewable, and due to the number of various sources where renewable energies are being used as a thermal substitution rate, India will definitely rank much ahead of many countries which are there in this line. Even if we see the recent Ukraine war and the Europe and the Russia going on the problems, there is a big problem of energy issue where, touch wood, India substitution rate is much higher than what their consumption rates are. So are these needs to be quantified? Yes, this needs to be quantified. Which Meenakshi ma'am was just telling that ours is a way of life where we go with, where we respect and pay obeisance to all the elements of nature, right from water, neem ka ped, peepal ka ped, or even putting a stone on to the peepal ka ped, and where we start safeguarding that peepal ka ped with either it's becoming a tea spot or a discussion stop right in the villages or somewhere, and many women and many men are starting worshipping it all. Is it a protection? Definitely needs to be assessed, and how it needs to be quantified, put forth and branded is important. Yoga, definitely India became the origin, or you can say branding thing. That International Yoga Day is 21 of June, and then we are starting to see that how it is looked as protection for the health benefit of an individual. What unfortunate part is that the news media or the paper media is talking of so much of diabetes getting increased, so much of blood pressure getting increased. If one or two celebrities dies because of over exercise, that gets more hype and gets internationally picked up, tweeted, and I don't know what all, Instagrammed, and which becomes discussion to Teresa and those so-called people of environmentalists, where negative publicity goes high. So going to sustainability index is definitely high. Is a must, is what my feeling is. how do we put it in terms of measurement, quantified measurement, and which parameter to see that the human population or the vastness of India with the diversity gives me more mark, needs to be marketed and needs to be quantified is my personal view, which needs to be looked forward. Second point, sir, is that if you see the 2022 sustainability index, where in like countries like Finland, Denmark, Sweden, Nordic countries are showing very high. I think sir, Dwarkanath sir said very clearly that it is a small district, maybe in Sikkim ka district hoga utna bada country hai. Even the smallest state districts may be of those countries like that. If that is the case, we can definitely brand that district, not the state. We have to be very careful, because if we start branding our sustainable states, there is a force working who they want India to be disintegrated and moved in different regions. So definitely it can be looked into. If some districts, for example, Bhadoi in Uttar Pradesh can be an example for some kind of a green belt or something like that, then Bhadoi should be compared with Denmark. Let number of districts, and definitely I know, sir, number of districts will surpass in getting mapped to it. I'll just give you the example of Telangana. 5, 6, 7 years back, Telangana was in a very bad shape, understanding there was a huge problem of water. Hyderabad never had water for drinking water. Number of districts of Telangana were completely dry districts. In the last 8 years or 10 years, because of the irrigation planning and because of these things, now water is becoming a problem. Leave aside, there are 4 seasons, 2 cash crops and 2 main crops are being grown in many regions of Telangana and Andhra. So why water? And it is becoming a problem. Is it because of climatic change? Definitely no. It is because of some efforts which was, and obviously climatic change has brought in those things. So these kinds of parameters which goes into 17, where all the factors needs to be looked into and incorporated, or how we can put it to Niti Aayog or to the government of India to make those things there. And obviously one point is, sir, we need to look into, we cannot be compared directly with all the countries in the whole world. It should be emerging economies. Let us focus only on the emerging economies. Let emerging economies, where countries like us, Bangladesh, and many other in this falling in East and Southeast Asia, need to be put into different bracket, because you can't compare with larger populations and all. So these are few of my views, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sanjeev Kumar ji. Definitely, you cannot always compare everything, apple with the orange or any, because you have to compare apple with the apple at least that way. So इस तरह का normally ये practice है. International जो some vested interest organizations हैं, even some kind of NGO also working in this. India को हमेशा downgrade जो है, but definitely हमें benefit भी होता है कि अपनी अगर कमियां नजर आती हैं, if we can know that what are the our, but हमारा because quantification नहीं है बहुत सी चीजों का, whatever the progress not quantified in terms of the either reducing a carbon footprint और कोई any international agency से कोई quantifications नहीं होता है. So इसलिए हमें government of India must think over कि इसमें हमें quantification पे focus करना चाहिए. कितना करते हैं वो important तो है ही है, but कितना हम showcase करते हैं that's also important. This is very important. हाँ, Sanjeev Kumar, you want to say?
There is just one more point. I think one food part needs to be looked into as a part of a health indicator is the type of food we eat and the type of food we prepare on our entire country. Out of 132 crores of population, I hardly believe that there will be only few percentage of population who does not cook even one meal per day in India. If we compare with the other countries, see the kind of health benefits and the use of resource or the use of waste generated out of this. If we go to US, if what we do, we get us, if we ask for a normal staple meal is a burger, some fries and some Coke, and everything gets wrapped in a paper, everything comes on a plate, and everything except for that tray, which may be, or many places even tray does not come, everything is being wasted. And the kind of saturation or the fat there is compared to what we get in India, when we, even if we take chole bhature or whatever, idli dosa or whatever, that will never compare and bring in beds of health benefits. These parameters which are indirectly contributed, they talk of diabetes getting increased. They talk of, because they want to sell. They want to sell all the medicines which are there. They are putting us in bad shape rather than putting on the front as a front runner.
Thank you, Sanjay ji. PK Jain ji, we want to now. If you want to say anything, or just if you can switch on your video. I think he's not able to do that anyway. मैं आज जो हमारे बहुत से पार्टिसिपेंट ज्वाइन नहीं कर पाए बिकॉज ऑफ देयर इज कोई गवर्निंग बॉडी मीटिंग थी कई लोगों की, तो आज बहुत से लोग नहीं ज्वाइन कर पाए. सो इस टॉपिक को कंटिन्यू. मैं अरुण कुमार जी, आप स्टिल इंडिया में है कि यूएस में? भी कहाँ पे हैं अभी? आप म्यूट हैं?
हाँ, नहीं, अभी इंडिया में ही हूँ सर.
अच्छा. कैसे सर, बताओ आप थोड़ा सा, आपके क्या व्यूज हैं? आप तो एमसीडी में रहे कि क्या प्रोग्रेस दिखती है जो पर्टिकुलरली वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट सेक्टर में आपके? तो पिछले कम से कम आई थिंक मैं भी समझता हूँ कि 15-20 साल में 2 इश्यूज आर देयर, बट डेफिनेटली पहले से इम्प्रूवमेंट तो है ही है, पर्टिकुलरली जो वेस्ट सेक्टर में जो है.
सर, वेस्ट सेक्टर में अगर हम अपने पुराने दिनों से आज के दिन को देखें तो काफी ज्यादा इम्प्रूवमेंट है. पहले तो वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट का मतलब होता था वेस्ट को उठाओ और डंप कर दो, इतना ही वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट का पहले मीनिंग था. आज की तारीख में हम उससे कहीं आगे जा चुके हैं, लेकिन इतना सच है कि अभी भी जो एक्चुअल वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट चाहिए, जिसमें खास करके सेग्रीगेटेड कलेक्शन से लेकर के प्रोसेसिंग एंड रिसाइकलिंग तक का, अभी हम इसमें काफी पीछे हैं और इसमें हमें मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी. दिल्ली की जो स्थिति है, हाई पॉपुलेशन डेंसिटी, ये भी एक मेजर फैक्टर है. और हम हर चीज को अगर सोच के चलेंगे कि हम थर्ड पार्टी किसी को वेंडर को रख देंगे वो कर लेगा, ये प्रैक्टिकेबल नहीं है. जब तक कि पब्लिक को हम अपने साथ नहीं जोड़ेंगे या पब्लिक जागरूक नहीं होगी कि हाँ हमें इसमें करना है, क्योंकि ये किसी एक का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, किसी डिपार्टमेंट का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, ये ग्लोबल प्रॉब्लम है. और हमारे यहाँ तो ह्यूमैनिटी का प्रॉब्लम है. ये चीजों को हम कैसे भी फेंक दें, कुछ भी कर दें, कुछ लोग हैं उस पर भी सरवाइव करते हैं, हमारे वेस्ट पे भी कुछ लोग सरवाइव करते हैं. तो उन सबको इंटीग्रेट करके उनके लाइफ स्टाइल को भी चेंज करना है. जो इन्वायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट इसका नेगेटिव है उसको भी कवर करना है. तो यस, अभी काफी कुछ किए जाने की जरूरत है.
जी बिल्कुल जी. डेफिनेटली हम इस पे वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट सेक्टर पे हमने सेपरेटली भी कई सेशन रखे हुए हैं और कंटिन्यू अवेयर हमारा इंक्लूडिंग जो हमारा कोई मंडे का सेशन भी होता है चैट पे डॉक्टर के HCFI में, उसमें भी हम ये लेते हैं. एंड डेफिनेटली लोगों को जब तक हमें, आई रिकॉल कि मैं दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट में था, आप लोगों के साथ एमसीडी के साथ कितना भागीदारी की वर्कशॉप की थी. दैट वाज दी वन ऑफ द वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट जो फोरम जिसपे लोगों ने और RW के साथ और उस पर कितना इम्पैक्ट आया था. बिकॉज जब लोगों को जानकारी हुई कि इसका इम्पोर्टेंस, अगर वेस्ट का सेग्रीगेशन से लेकर के रिसाइकलिंग तो कितनी इम्पोर्टेंस है, तो ये एक बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट स्टेप्स है. और उसी में हम ये डॉक्टर के HCFI है, अवेयरनेस में भी बहुत फोकस हमारा रहता है. दैट वाज नॉट कि हम सिंपली कोई टॉपिक लेते हैं, हमारा पर्पज ये होता है कि लोगों तक उसकी जानकारी पहुंचे कि सही फैक्ट क्या है और उस पर क्या एक्शन कर सकें वो. दैट वाज. तो ये अपील भी होती है कि जो है उसको एक्शन में लाने की जरूरत है.
जी, एक चीज कहना चाहूंगा सर कि हमारे यहाँ इनिशिएटिव्स तो बहुत होती हैं, जैसे भागीदारी इनिशिएटिव की आपने चर्चा की. भागीदारी इनिशिएटिव ने काफी अच्छी पैठ बनाई, गवर्नमेंट और पब्लिक के बीच में लिंक को काफी मजबूत किया. लेकिन अल्टीमेटली पॉलिटिक्स सब चीज को रैप अप कर देती है. घूम फिर करके भागीदारी एक पॉलिटिकल टूल बन गया लोगों को अपने साथ जोड़ने का. जो बेसिक हम इन्वायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट की बात कर रहे हैं वो मिसिंग रह गया और छूट गया कहीं पीछे. वो अब हमें नए सिरे से फिर करना होगा और ये सोच के चलना होगा कि ये पॉलिटिकल मोटिव से हम नहीं करेंगे, ये हम ह्यूमैनिटी मोटिव से करेंगे.
जी. तो ये हमें कंटिन्यू रखनी पड़ेगी. आई थिंक इसी वजह से बहुत सा जो पहले होता था लोगों में एक अवेयरनेस थी, वो सब चीजें बंद हो गई. मैं तो अब देखता हूँ कि आजकल कितना ज्यादा फोकस नहीं हो रहा है. तो जो इस समय एक टाइम था जो बहुत ज्वाइंटली सब एजेंसी काम कर रही थी. तो नाउ आई थिंक आज हमारे मेंबर्स जो है थोड़ा बहुत कम है और कोई मतलब न्यू पॉइंट अगर किसी का है, एनीबॉडी वांट्स टू ऐड एनीथिंग, अदरवाइज विल इसको कंटिन्यू रखेंगे हम नेक्स्ट संडे के लिए. बिकॉज कई लोगों के फोन आए थे कि आज हम ज्वाइन नहीं कर पाएंगे.
In addition to the opening remarks,
yes sir,
according to the traditional statistics, which Indian government consistently, दो चीज 1992 conference से ही बोलते आ रही है. एक तो we have to differentiate between the luxury emissions and the survival emissions. ये दोनों अलग अलग चीज है, दोनों को अलग अलग priority है, other than the issue of per capita. What we are doing, if at all we are emitting 7% of today's GHG India, but we cater to close to 30% of world's population. Whereas according to the statistics available till 2019, 33% of population is catered with 35 countries. That includes European Union 27 countries and the big 7, US, UK and Japan, and all 7 countries which we call as major culprits till now. That is 35% countries encompassing 34% of population is responsible for emitting 67% of emissions. ये कहाँ का स्टैटिस्टिक्स है? ये लोग अलग अलग एजेंसी अलग अलग स्टैटिस्टिक्स से आ रहे हैं. Whereas historically, if we see 1 century statistics, this is the reality. They have been traditionally emitted huge amount of emissions, and today they have become minuscule countries and they have become highly developed. And they want to rate India and other developing countries as the targeted polluters without taking the historical perspective and the per capita emissions. So again, I am re-emphasizing, as per the many other experts' views, that we should not consider these rankings in absolute terms or in its face value. The issues highlighted where shortcomings reported in Asia or India, if at all it is there, without giving much relevance to the statistics that has been discussed, the issues can be taken up and then more emphasis and the interventions, programs and policies can be made for Indian government for those issues which needs more attention, which already Indian government is doing, but we need not give enough importance to the absolute rankings and the criticism that India is the last out of 180 countries. These are with vested interest agencies. Whoever sponsors the study, according to that, they will give you the report that we have seen in a number of cases. So in India, as I have flagged some of the issues which I have flagged in the initial remarks, these issues we are not quantifying because nobody is bothered about these issues. Whereas as a country, if we quantify these issues, 7 or 8 issues which I have said in my opening remarks, we will make our own ranking and India will be top in the sustainability development goals. And moreover, we have to see the intention of the government also. By whether I really want to do it, but if I could not do it for want of finance. I was just going through the summary, executive summary of the today's report. Out of the 5 points of the executive summary of 2022, all the 5 talks about the financing mechanism. By I need money to feed my people. I cannot invest in sustainable development goal projects unless otherwise somebody is giving me affordable financing. जब तक affordable financing नहीं आएगा, Asian countries and African countries cannot be in a position to do much than what we are doing presently. Their own SDG 2022 report in their executive summary, the major 5 points, all the 5 points talks about funding mechanism and financing mechanism. that is showing little bit of positive intent from their side, whereas we have number of positive intentions and we have put that thing into actions also from the Indian government side. So this is in addition to.
Similar was in the issue of the climate change also in COP26, because
Yes.
we talk about that until unless we get the suppose to switch to from coal, and we cannot completely switch on renewable or something. We slowly progressing on, but definitely we cannot. Yeah.
And in another professional group where you are also there, I always used to tell, what about import-export emissions? India is emitting $1 trillion of products to other countries, whereas emission is accounted to India. The exporting countries which export products from India and then import into their country, they are coolly sitting and they are claiming that I am #1 in the SDG ranking. If we are asking them to include this, then they will quote GATT agreement. There is a contributing trade agreement is there. That is that should not be in conflict with the interest of trade. But if you want trade and you don't want emission and you want to remain #1, then manufacture all the product that is required for you within your country. No. For products you need India and China and Africa. But for emissions, you will label them as culprits. Whereas, so population-wise, we 33 countries with 33% of population, you are emitting 67% globally, historically. So this is the reality.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So, anybody want to say anything? Otherwise, we can close early today. No issue, and we can just, because we'll send the report. Then when point every all 17 goals and whatever the report we can further discuss on next Sunday. So, any point, any comment by anybody today? I think now we can just close our session today, and we'll send the report today itself to all our group and the HCFI group, or if you can please download and you can see. And they have given for each agenda, for each SDG, what the particularly pandemic has done, and during this last 2 years pandemic. So according to, based on that, we'll continue our discussion with our all experts next Sunday. So thank you all members, thank you everybody, and we'll continue on next Sunday, the same topic.